We're here at the National Gallery of Victoria for the annual Fashion Gala, which is also the opening night of a new show of works by British designer Alexander McQueen. And what better way to kick it off than with a red carpet extravaganza? What are you wearing?
I'm wearing Common Hours.
Tony Mataczewski.
I'm wearing an Australian designer. Her name is Mariam Sadiq.
A McQueen in the wild.
Yes, well this is from the Spring Summer 23 collection and it's actually called the Asymmetrical Slash Dress.
So everyone looks fabulous, but the real reason we're here is to bask in the legacy of fashion's anti-hero, Lee Alexander McQueen.
Alexander McQueen is in many ways a fashion purist.
He's one of the most amazing designers of our times.
His passion was beyond compare, and I think it takes huge passion to do what he did.
A working class kid from London, McQueen was a self-made designer who'd go on to work for some of the biggest fashion houses. Lavish and controversial, his work explored themes like sex, death, history and colonial violence. This show at NGV combines 120 pieces by McQueen with some of the artworks that inspired him.
He's an incredible pattern cutter and dressmaker, but at heart he's subversive and provocative. You know, there's a sense of rebellion always with his stories.
I love how he was able to incorporate so many different aspects of art and life and popular culture and was able to distill it into collections that told stories.
He was both someone who respected tradition but knew how to break with tradition and innovate.
He taps into really carnal, emotional things and isn't afraid to show the ugly and be provocative.
He created such theatre and he took you on a journey, and then he wasn't afraid to push boundaries and make people uncomfortable and really send a message.
McQueen's catwalk shows were notorious for their ability to shock and inspire.
I did 30 of his 36 collections. Everyone was different, and at each show you had no idea what to expect. Always a thrill. Nothing was ready until it was ready to go out on the catwalk. Anything could change at any moment, and it was electric.
To walk for McQueen was pure drama. I mean, in like the most heightened, amazing way. You always felt the stakes so high because he just put everything into it.
But he had a complex relationship with the fashion world.
He did, and I think that's why he says, that he really wanted to challenge the fashion world, that he wanted to bring ideas from outside the fashion world onto the runway, but you always knew that there would be an important message in every show as well. He really did use his art as commentary on the world and to ask, difficult questions quite often, often ones which nobody really had the answer for.
Costume designer Michael Schmidt, who's worked with the likes of Madonna, Beyonce and Lady Gaga, designed all the headpieces for this exhibition.
He had a language of his own, and if you're familiar with that language, you'll see that scattered throughout. Lee's last collection was called Plato's Atlantis. This is based on the concept of nature finally consuming man, and so his thinking was, what would happen if we reverted back to the sea? And so I took that concept and tried to conceive of what a woman who had reverted back to this state, what she would embellish herself with. And unfortunately, that would be a lot of refuse, a lot of trash that we, unfortunately, have swept into the sea. And so you see a lot of these things which are, they're reminiscent of the silhouette of the hair from the show, but they're utilizing materials, plastics, six-pack rings, trying to again, tell the story that McQueen was trying to say in a thoughtful and hopefully engaging way.
McQueen's struggles have been well documented, and in 2010 he took his own life. But in those 40 short years, he made an indelible mark on the fashion world.
When I think about him, I always think about how funny he was. He was great fun. He could be extremely serious, incredibly talented, and there were obviously darker moments as well.
He's such a tortured artist. By the end of his career, he was designing 13 collections a year, which I think led to a lot of his burnout. And I was living in London the day that he passed, sadly, and I will never forget that day. I remember exactly where I was when I got the text message and just burst into tears.